Hello, everybody. So I want to welcome everyone who is listening. Today is our week 5, so we're moving on from self-worth on to boundaries. There is a few things I want to go over before we get into boundaries. So our Q&A Wednesdays, we are moving that to Monday. So we will not have a Q&A Wednesday tomorrow. But we will have that on Mondays until further notice. And then that gives you guys more time to send in some questions and concerns, which you would do that at ken@hopeandanswers.com. And you would put your questions in there, and then we would get back to you on Monday on our live, which that will be hosted at 4 to 5. And I think that is all I needed to share. Our ad will not be changed probably until next week. I didn't have time to do that yet, so that's not going to be on. But I think that was all. Getting into our week 5. So boundaries is week 5 and 6. It's another one of those foundational things I think is really important that we need to kind of split into weeks to kind of talk about. Again, I have Gabby here with me. She's going to chime in on the mother aspect of things. But I'm going to start off with our icebreaker like we usually do. And that's when we hear the word boundary, what's the first thing that comes to mind? And when I personally think of boundary, I think of people saying crossing boundaries. And so maybe I can kind of see boundaries as a line, or maybe a fence, crossing a fence or a line. So, you agree?
Yeah, I think, well, I'll backtrack a little bit. Before I really dove into boundaries, I used to think of it as a wall that would push people away.
Yes. That's
Now,
a big misconception.
yes, but now I do see it as a fence.
Mm-hmm.
The fence, and then keeping myself inside the fence versus keeping others people's fences up, if that makes sense.
Right. You can allow who can come in and who can
Yes.
come out. It's
Yes.
your fence. It's not a wall of inevitable.
Yeah, or a wall of control.
Yes.
Or, yes.
But to follow that up, what do we think boundaries are? Do we see it more as a positive thing or something that pushes people away? And when I think of that question, I kind of see it as both, because boundaries sometimes do push people away, and sometimes it's for the right reasons. Sometimes it's because those people don't respect your boundaries or maybe think boundaries are silly. And so, in that sense, you wouldn't align anymore. And that's when some people may be pushed away. But I don't see that as necessarily a negative thing. But boundaries are something I would think as positive, but the pushing people away part, I wouldn't really necessarily see as something negative.
Yeah, I agree, because there might be people that need to be kept at arm's length.
Right.
And that's okay.
Mhm.
And accepting that. And I love the way that you put that. You couldn't have said it any better.
Thank you. But that's what boundaries are. They are how we protect ourselves. That's why we have them. And using the fence as a metaphor is a really great thing I like to use, because fences aren't a wall. It's not completely closed. You're not completely closed in, but you are at the same time. You can open that gate. With a wall, you can't open a wall.
Mm-hmm.
You can open a gate, and that's what boundaries are. You can let people in who are meant to come in, but keep people out who are meant to stay out. And you're also keeping yourself in at the same time.
Yeah.
A lot of people don't think of the other side of the story of it's also keeping yourself in line and not just other people.
Yes, absolutely.
Right.
And we don't mean like when, of course we've talked about healthy boundaries, but we don't, there is a line of respect and disrespect.
Oh, for sure. For sure. Definitely. Respect goes. I'm pretty sure respect is something we'll touch on soon because it kind of
Mhm.
aligns with
Yeah.
boundaries. Because if somebody doesn't respect your boundaries, those are the people that will probably end up being pushed
Push
away.
away. Yep.
So respect's a big thing. But the big question that I really want to answer is, what are boundaries? And your boundaries are your personal limits. It's that fence that you make for you. And how I kind of like to explain it is, sometimes people grow up with boundaries and sometimes they don't. So sometimes people have their posts up,
Mhm.
but everybody has to build their fence.
Mhm.
Everybody, whether they had boundaries growing up or not, you are responsible in your adult ages and kind of your early adulthood to keep that fence up and put that fence up. Nobody is keeping you accountable for that, and I think that's something that's really hard.
And I think,
sometimes.
like, especially in different seasons, my fence looked a lot different when I was a teenager
Oh, for
than
sure.
being a mom.
Mm-hmm.
And, yeah, I think, like, sometimes your fence gets bigger as you go, I guess, and in different seasons. It's just gonna look differently, and having an open mind to that, and not always being like, okay, this is my fence. Like,
Yeah.
it's got four corners,
Mhm.
So
Yeah, that's another thing. Like we were saying a few weeks ago, is these things they're foundational, but they're not permanent.
mhm,
In the sense where, like, everything has a limit, everything has an expectation, nothing's set in stone.
mhm,
So when that's something I struggled with too, when I was taught that this was the boundary, this has to go this way exactly this time, and maybe it didn't work out that way, I felt pressured by that because I thought that that was set in stone and there wasn't exceptions weren't allowed.
yes,
And I think that kind of goes with the perfectionism too.
mhm,
Like, mistakes weren't allowed because that meant I was doing something wrong. And when you do something wrong, you're a bad person, whatever the case. Just that's how your brain spirals in those ways.
yeah. And I actually have an example myself. Like, when I just first had my son and I started breastfeeding,
Mhm.
I tried my hardest during pregnancy, and even before, I always had a very structured routine. Um, and then that baby came along, and breastfeeding was, yeah.
Yeah.
I literally could not create structure and I used breastfeeding as an excuse for that, because I, every 2 hours, every 2.5 hours, he wanted to eat. And so it had me stuck in survival mode. And
Right.
so my boundaries, just, I really lacked healthy boundaries. But it was because I was so like, wait, this was the structure that was before. Like,
Right.
I shouldn't have to change this. And it's like, no, that's not actually how life works.
No, but it's so justifiable too, because
Yeah.
it's like, oh, I'm doing it for
Yes.
my child.
Yeah.
That's the big justification, but then there's the sense where you're barely hanging on.
Yes. Yeah.
Which is not a good thing.
No, it is not.
But it's something a lot of people do go through. But before we move on, just one last example to lock it in on what boundaries are is, I like to think of it as a house. And you wouldn't just let anybody walk into your house if that was your house. They have to knock, and your boundaries are your front door. So when they're knocking, you get to choose who you let in and who doesn't come in, and how they come in and how they don't come in. It's your house. That's what boundaries are. And you're kind of uncomfortable at first, because I guess anything's uncomfortable when you haven't done it for the first time.
Mhm.
But it's really accomplishing when you can get through that scary time and put those boundaries up. It is really accomplishing.
I think just reminding yourself that it's new. It's not hard. It's just new.
Yep. Not hard, just new.
Mhm.
But getting deeper into boundaries, there are 3 big boundaries that I like to talk about. It's pretty familiar with everybody, I think, in this culture, in this day and age. But there's the physical, the emotional, and the digital boundaries. Digital boundaries aren't talked about as much because I guess technology isn't talked about enough. So you just won't hear a lot about having boundaries with your phone. That's something that's not even familiar to me all the way.
I think our technology has grown so rapidly that we've kind of forgot to have those boundaries, maybe. Like,
yes, for
you
sure.
feel like,
But I guess we can start with the digital boundaries. But what that is, it's the amount of time you have on your phone, your privacy, your emotional well-being online, whether you're engaging on social media and maybe negative things are coming up. That's something that you can control in the sense of you don't have to watch it. That's a boundary you can have, which it's hard with social media because social media is so addicting and it's so drowning almost. But examples of that would be like if somebody was harassing you online, the simple thing, block them. That's a boundary. That's what you have. That's why I love the block button. But I used to pretend like it didn't exist. I would engage in arguments online over something that I can't even remember. So obviously wasn't that important. And I would get myself so involved in this that it would almost affect my mood. So an argument on social media would affect my mood. But in those times, that's when we need to have those boundaries and say, this is not worth my energy. Whether they disagree with me or not, I'm going to keep it as that. Or if they're still going on, I have the block button. And that's that. I did struggle a lot with the digital boundary thing. And still, a weak boundary I have with it is the constantly checking your phone.
Yeah, and I'm curious, were you someone who grew up, and I don't know, like, did you grow up like with technology, like in your younger years, or did you just get like kind of thrown into it, if that makes sense?
I grew up with a box TV and a box computer.
Okay. Moms are thrifting those these days. I hope you know that. So if you still have that, you better hang on to that.
No, I do not have that. Nope, I do not.
Those things are going for a heck of a lot of money. Yes. And I'm dead serious.
No, I believe you.
We're canceling the Netflix, the Disney Plus, everything.
Yeah, for the computer, the old computer. But no, I didn't. I still was introduced to technology at a young age.
Okay.
I got a computer, I guess was my first device that I got at 7.
Okay.
For my 7th birthday by my older sister who loves to shop. She always bought the best gifts, so she still does. She loves to shop. So I guess I did grow up a little bit more with technology, but none of these things were really talked about because we were kind of
when did you get your phone?
My first phone that I got was, oh my gosh, I think I was in 4th grade.
Okay, mine was in 3rd grade.
Yeah.
Okay, but I did not have a smartphone. I had a true dinosaur flip phone. It did not have an antenna, but it was a flip phone. I could solely only call.
Yeah. So I had my first phone in the 4th grade, and it was the iPhone 4. I remember with those big wide chargers.
Oh my gosh!
And it was old one from my sibling. Yeah, I think my sister gave it to me, and one day I got locked out of it, and I never could get back in it. But yeah, that was my first iPhone.
Oh my gosh!
Yeah.
Okay, so you grew up kind of knowing.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's not like your parents were like, okay, nothing until the age of 16, and then you just like get thrown into it.
because they were thrown
And into it. Yeah.
So I can't fully blame them because they didn't know
Mm-hmm.
half the stuff we were looking at, and they didn't even know to check any of that because who would think to post that on social media? But
Right.
they do.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, for sure. But the second one is the physical boundaries, and that is protecting your personal space, your comfort in your body. That's your physical boundary. Like that's saying no to unwanted touch. That's needing a break or needing a second, or you're feeling overwhelmed, so you need to go to the bathroom by yourself. That would be like a physical boundary. Like, hey, I don't want anyone to go to the bathroom with me. If your friends ask and you're upset and you just want your alone time, that'd be your boundary. Or even the privacy of your room or your belongings, things like that. That would also go under the physical boundary category. I know with the siblings, we all try to put "don't touch my stuff" boundary on our siblings. But
yes.
That line is forever always crossed. So
yeah,
I guess we got to get over that one, guys.
Well, it's funny that you said no going to the bathroom. As moms, I'm like, shut the door and lock it.
Yeah.
No one needs, not even the dog needs to come follow you.
Mm-hmm. Yes. Yeah. I see, because, I see all these, my sister too, she has her, she had, I don't think she had 2 under 2, but they were still pretty young. And they were all hanging onto her while she was using the bathroom. I'm like, girl, kick them out.
Yes.
Kick them out. Lock the door.
They'll be okay for 5 minutes.
But
go eat your snack in the bathroom.
You have to.
Literally, yeah, there have been days.
And for me, it's my mom lets me have those.
Yes.
Oh, does she? That's nice.
Yeah.
I like spicy food because I'll say it's spicy, and they're like, I like spicy. And they don't.
Yes. Yeah.
Oh yes, kids. They're something. But a weak boundary when it comes to your physical boundaries would be like saying yes when you're uncomfortable. And that's something that I have done far too many times, but I'm getting better at it. But it's something I guess my brain had a hard time, getting that I could say no to those things. And I don't know if it was because like there was no boundaries in my childhood or something, because how I grew up is you do what you're told,
Yes.
You just do it. Like the feelings don't matter as much.
So like and there was no back talking.
Right.
Like
you just did what you told.
Just did. Yeah.
And it doesn't matter if you're feeling a kind of way, you just pull your pants up and do it anyway. That's the saying I've always heard. And I think growing up, it was hard for me to grasp the understanding that I didn't have to do everything that somebody else told me to. And I'm not meaning like my mom asking me to go do my laundry, but she doesn't ask me to do my own laundry, but
right, you're just using that as an example. Yeah.
I'm not saying that. I'm just saying somebody wanting me to do this because they think it's funny, but maybe I don't think it's funny. Or maybe that would make me uncomfortable. I don't have to do it.
Yeah.
That was something that was hard for me, and I think.
So growing up a little bit of like through some people pleasing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that was just because of the suck it up kind of attitude that I had growing up. But also when it comes to dating as well, when you are uncomfortable with something physically.
Yes.
When you're uncomfortable with something physically, emotionally, and digitally, you do not have to say yes. That's something a lot of people, even myself, compromise.
Yeah.
Because you want them to like you.
Yep.
It's just simple. You just want them to like you, so you compromise all these boundaries that you put up so they'll like you. But then there's no point in having boundaries anymore if you're going to have somebody that you put your boundaries aside for.
Yes.
That's not what boundaries are.
And I used to think too, like with my first marriage, there was a lot of uncomfortable things in all three. And I just thought, like, if I just set my boundaries aside, I'll help him fix himself. And no, that's far from the truth.
Yep. It does. It makes you worse.
Yes, it does. Absolutely.
You tear yourself down
Yes.
for somebody else, and you question like, "Hey, why don't they do that for me too?" Like,
Yes.
and then that's when you realize that it's more of a boundary thing.
Mhm.
You really do got to protect your peace with everything and anything. That's all you have at the end of the day. At the end of the day, is yourself.
Yes.
And who wants to sit in a stressed out brain? You're going insane thinking about this, that. It's not fun. It's uncomfortable. So, but those things aren't something we have to sit through.
No.
No, not at all.
Mm-mm.
And then your last boundary is the emotional boundaries, like your feelings, your mental peace, your emotional energy. Um, an example of this would be like taking on somebody comes up to you with a problem and you feel like you have to go fix that problem. Um, I see in a lot of teenage relationship like friendships, and I can even look back at some of my own and say this fits in there as well. But a lot of the time it's set up to where if your friend doesn't like somebody, you can't like them either.
Yeah.
Like
Yes.
you guys have to be rivals with that person. That person did your friend wrong, so
You're a team.
you have to right.
And if you break that team,
Mm-hmm.
you're going to be hated
Yeah,
in girl world.
Especially in the it's ignorant girl world. But that's not how it's supposed to go. I struggled with it a lot too, where even family too. I would come home and I would get told this person did this to them or this person did this to them, and that would affect. I would get angry too, and I probably or maybe had the best day or, I was in a good mood and people are allowed to vent to me, but sometimes it is brought up to where like they are wanting advice, and that's not a bad thing, but sometimes it can be overwhelming and you don't have to fix their problems. Advice is okay. I think that's something that I will always give to somebody, my opinion or my advice or my support to what they think they should do.
Mm-hmm.
But it was hard for me to step back and not do it for them.
Yeah, like you're almost overusing empathy.
Mm-hmm.
And it's causing you to have like fatigue and being compassionate almost. Like,
Yeah.
and that sucks because who wants to live in that?
Yeah, it drains you.
It does. Like, you don't need to carry on their emotions and their burdens.
Yeah. And I think about this too, like the difference between like your friend coming up to you and telling you how bad of a day they had, which every once in a while that's okay because we're human. Everybody
Absolutely.
has bad days and everybody needs somebody to vent to, especially your best friend. But there are times where people get consumed in the negative as well, and it can be overpowering to your friends. It can be tiring and it can be draining, especially if it's reoccurring problems.
Yes.
The same problem, and you're offering advice and you're offering support, but those problems aren't being resolved. And at that point, your problems can't be my problems.
Mm-hmm.
You're going to have to figure it out because it's keeping me up at night, and they're not even my problems. So if anything affects you to that extent, you can put up those boundaries because.
And as a friend who had to be on the receiving end of a friend telling me that, it was like a huge wake up call for me. I was like, okay, I'm finally going to accept that I'm in an unhealthy relationship with someone, so I need to get a way out because it was like a realization of I'm repeating myself and nothing's getting done, and that's okay. And it's okay to say this is no longer working for me because it takes two to tango.
And it's not even, yes, I know what you say, because I've also been on the receiving end, and it is hurtful sometimes.
Yes.
But the truth is kind of hurtful. And
Yeah.
when we don't like the truth, sometimes we get defensive.
Or
And
I felt ashamed of myself at first. I'm like, oh my gosh, I was doing something like horrendous, but I'm like, actually, no, like this is okay.
yeah.
And
Yeah, but the defensiveness was my insecurity because I knew
yes,
that.
yes, yeah,
I knew that. But I have to learn that it's okay to not be perfect.
mhm,
Those are times I can take that, be like, oh yeah, sure. I won't
yes,
do that anymore. I did
Yeah.
not know
yeah,
that was making you feel that way. And that's a learning
yes,
experience. now.
absolutely.
You can always change things you can always change your reactions by how you think. And that's what I was preaching about the self-worth so much. But getting into our discussion questions, we have a few, and then that will be the end of today. I want to start with, how can you set emotional boundaries without making people feel rejected? And the way I answered this was to first, you can't compromise your boundaries. Like I said before, your boundaries, you get to choose the acceptance, or not the acceptance, but the what's the word? No, I forget the word, but you can't compromise your boundary. But if people feel rejected by your boundary, I think sometimes that's okay for them to feel that way. I think it's normal for people to feel rejected sometimes when people put up boundaries that they haven't before.
Absolutely.
Because just as it is a new thing for you, it's a new thing for them
them.
as well, especially if you guys have known each other for a long time.
And they're probably not expecting it from you. So they're going to immediately be like, who are you?
Yeah.
Whoa.
And sometimes if you guys are so used to like not having boundaries, whether it's in a friendship, sometimes you will see them kind of test your boundaries.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes we can't just, how I see it is, I can't just say, oh, you crossed my boundary, you're completely out of my life, because I do give them grace that boundaries are new for the both of us.
Mm-hmm.
And so whether that boundary was crossed, I give them another chance, not more than one, but usually they understand you have that boundary, and whether they want to stay in your life and respect that boundary, or they don't respect that boundary and they're kind of pushed away, that's okay. Some people do test your boundaries kind of in the beginning. Sometimes with family too, you'll see
Absolutely.
that more. And you can't just, I always, especially if you will live with them, shut out your family. So
Absolutely not.
The boundary testing probably most likely will happen, but if you stand strong, they will understand and they will respect that boundary, because they kind of have to.
Yes. And that teaches the other person. It doesn't just teach yourself, but it kind of plants a seed of emotional awareness, you could say.
For sure.
And they can hopefully take that later on in life. And then you yourself are growing that muscle.
Mhm.
So it's every experience is a learning experience with boundaries.
Yep, for sure. Next question. What's one boundary you've learned to set that made your relationship better? And one thing I did is, when I'm bickering with anybody or in an argument or it's getting heated, I will not, I don't like to sit there and argue and yell. I don't. I like to sit and compromise.
Yes.
It's hard. It is really hard because your emotions are skyrocketed.
Yes.
But that's one thing I can't do anymore, because I know I will step out of my boundaries.
Yes.
I get too mad to sit and yell and argue. I just do. So
yes, I
that's
do too.
but that's a self-awareness, and that's when I'm like, I can't talk right now. And whether that makes the person a little extra angry, I'm gonna go calm down.
Yeah.
I have to.
Yeah. That was one of my boundaries too, especially going back into the dating world.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I was like, okay, we are not screaming and yelling at each other, not happening. So if that is who you are, you're either going to have to work on it or goodbye.
Right. And that's what I say, like, it's okay to feel that way.
Yeah.
But we can talk about it later. Wait until that feeling subsides. Don't subside your feeling, but we'll get back to it.
Yeah.
Because with angry emotion, you get angry words and you get angry.
I was going to say, you start saying things that you don't mean to say.
Right.
Right. Or things get twisted or whatever.
They're intrusive, mean thoughts is what they are.
Yes.
And especially as girls, I know I can chop somebody's head off.
Yes.
A nice insult.
Our cat claws come out. Yeah.
Next question. Have you ever shared something online and regretted it later? What did that teach you? Do you have an answer for this one?
I do.
Okay,
so this kind of goes not so much on motherhood. Like, I do post a little bit on my son, but I try not to. But when I was like really hurt going through a divorce, I started posting everyone had to know because I was posting like all the things that I had said to him in a way, like, I don't know,
That's
just
what I put on my paper too.
Just like, those quotes that are like so positive, but when you're in a place of peace and you see someone post that, you're like, yeah, they're really going through it. I was like,
I'm like, oh, she's upset.
Yes. And so I started like just posting stuff like that. Obviously, I didn't get on there and like post like paragraphs, but I was like, I went back like shortly after I got my head screwed on right, and I'm like, what were you doing? Like, that was so embarrassing.
They are very embarrassing.
But I was hurt. I just wanted to be with someone who had our somewhat of a same level of emotional awareness, and I think like as a wife, I truly just wanted to be heard in a marriage.
Yeah.
I don't need a man to always problem solve.
Sometimes you don't need that.
I just sometimes want to be heard.
Yeah.
And so that's kind of where I was like going down like a rabbit hole on Facebook. So major regrets. And so now I'm just like, you know what? I have my boundary. If I'm upset or whatever, I put the phone down. Just put the phone down. You don't need to scroll. Just put it down.
And on TikTok too, there's an algorithm.
Oh, no.
So
yeah,
what that is the more, I guess, whatever mood you're in, and it really is, like if you are angry and you're seeing these angry TikToks and you keep watching them and you keep liking them, your TikTok keeps feeding into that. So that's how social media can feed into your emotions. And that's one thing I always struggled with too. And one that answers one of my other questions too is what's one boundary you wish you'd set earlier in life? And that is oversharing on social media. Because when something bad would happen, I'd find a sound on TikTok that matched whatever was going on.
Oh my gosh, yes.
Put my little quote, and it was just, it caused drama because when I wasn't angry anymore, it was genuinely embarrassing. Or if somebody confronted me about it and I didn't feel that way anymore, it was embarrassing. Because it's like, I really don't feel like that anymore.
Yeah.
It's just something you didn't need to do. And it was something you did emotion-based or something I did emotion-based.
And we don't need to air all of our dirty laundry.
No, we do not. It's didn't respect my business. I didn't really know how.
Yeah.
Until you learn the hard way and people take what you say and twist it and make rumors out of it.
Yes.
Which can happen easy, or people think they know you based off what people. I told this one person this one time. This person knows me for this one thing. And they tell the whole world, and they think now my reputation's this, and it's not that.
Yep. Yeah.
Oversharing is not a good thing. You'll never get the place.
And I think also going to oversharing, not just on social media, but if I was mad at my significant other, or even if my specific family member, my sister, mad texting, either my best friend or blowing up their phone alone because I want a response out of them.
Oh yeah, I know.
Like sometimes I would get like that, and it's just like, just put the phone down.
Yeah.
Put the phone down. Go away. Yeah.
or yeah, we're handling this right now.
Yes.
But, yeah.
But a lot of times I would also go to my best friend and like overshare it. And I'm like, wow, that was an argument that she really probably didn't need to know about.
Yeah. That's a lot of things with relationships too. A lot of the time we do confide in our friends with relationships, but then that person, if you go to your friend all the time about the negative things your partner does or whatever, and you're not trying to portray them as a bad person or they're not a bad person, it's just the small things you've been about. Well, now your friend
Sees those things.
sees your person as everything you just vented to them about. And that's another thing of oversharing, is sometimes actually all the time your relationships with everybody is confidential with everybody, unless it's a group.
Yes.
But most of the time, even in a group, that's how it needs to be, is each relationship you have with everybody, it needs to be
Confidential.
And
that's what like I learned too early on. And that doesn't just go for like a significant other, but your kids too. Like I'm realizing like that as I get older and stuff, like grandpa doesn't always need to know about what the son got in trouble for. Like it just isn't, or the toddler stage, they start yapping a lot or whatever. And trying to pull on the grandpa's heartstrings, like, oh, mom took my favorite toy away. Well, why? And then he goes like, well, mom did XYZ. And then it's just like, I don't know. I've had to like learn how to navigate those waters of just not oversharing and be like, okay, like this is my boundary as a parent. Like, yeah, he's not allowed to do XYZ in my house.
And a lot too with oversharing, why my boundary
Yes.
is the way it is.
Yes.
You do not have to do that. The way your boundaries make other people feel is kind of just something you don't need to worry about.
That's on them.
It is on them. You put that in place for whatever reason, but at the end of the day, you put it to protect your peace and to protect your well-being, and that's all that matters. The why doesn't matter at that point.
Stay in your own brain at that point.
Yes. And then our last question before we tie everything off is, what's one situation where you realized you needed stronger boundaries? And that is letting my phone ruin my life is what I put.
Yes.
Because it doesn't matter whether I was in my phone for somebody I was infatuated with at the time, or a social media I was obsessed with, or taking a photo, or anything. My phone is so addictive to me, and it's always been my strong suit. So that's what I've really been working on, or not my strong suit, my weak point. But that's what I've really been working on, is putting my phone down and doing the things I need to do, and seeing my phone more as a reward than something I can just get on all the time, because then I don't get stuff done.
Yep.
So that's a personal boundary I need to work on.
I think for me, one situation where I realized I needed to set a stronger boundary is the same for my phone, but also even with work as a mom. Like and I also work from home. Yeah. So it's like, okay, the laundry can wait till after 5 p.m. as much as I know I work from home and I really just want to go switch it. But like, I need to do my work. So when 5 p.m. comes around, I'm not swapping my tasks.
Right.
So just having that workaholic mindset. And then also people call my phone. So just allowing myself to have that boundary of, okay, it's 5 p.m. I don't have to answer because my hours are from 8 to 5.
Right. And a lot of people think that boundary and structure you're only going to find in a work or school setting.
Yes.
You have to.
If it has a door.
You have to have that structure in your life, period.
Yes.
For your well-being, or your well-being will be compromised and it will not be well.
Yeah, you will feel exhausted. You'll feel so much resentment, anger, madness, all the things.
Our closing quote. Hopefully everyone's got a good understanding of what boundaries are. Next week, we'll learn a little bit more on how to set boundaries and how we navigate boundaries a little bit more because they are kind of tricky. But a closing thought, a little bit more biblical, like I have been doing, is even Jesus set boundaries. He took time away from the crowds to rest and pray. That shows us that saying no or stepping back doesn't make us unkind, it makes us wise. So keep that thought in mind. Keep everything I said in mind today, and next week we'll new mothers setting boundaries with your kids and possibly co-parenting as well. So I'm glad everyone sat and listened today. I will see you next week on Monday for Q&A, and then I will also see you guys on Tuesday for our week 6 of boundaries. Thank you for listening.